Welcome to part 2 of The Love Cursed by Murder. Kindly smash the subscription button for more juicy stories. The story begins. Finally, Daniel decided to go see her. He rushed to Zia's house, knocked on the door, and waited. When the door opened, he was surprised to see Amina, Zoe's mother, standing there, her arms crossed. "Zoe is not here," she said. Daniel frowned. "Where is she?" Amina's eyes were filled with anger. "She has moved on." Daniel felt as if he had been punched in the chest. "What do you mean?" Zoe was heartbroken. "She decided to let you go. A young man came into her life, and she chose him," Amina said. Daniel shook his head in disbelief. "No, that's impossible. She loves me." "She did, but she couldn't wait forever," Amina said. "And now, she is gone." Daniel asked angrily, "Where did she go?" Amina stayed silent. Daniel stepped closer. "Tell me. Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. Leave my daughter alone," said Amina. Daniel spent days searching for Zia. He asked her old friends, checked places they used to go together, but she was nowhere to be found. Then, finally, he found out the truth. Zoe and her new lover had fled the country. Daniel's heart burned with anger. "She thinks she can escape me," he shouted. Zoe and her new lover, Samuel, sat quietly in the small apartment they had rented in Kampala, Uganda. Samuel was Zaya's childhood friend who has always admired her but not been given a chance. But after finding out whom Daniel was, Zia decided to give Samuel a chance. It had been 2 weeks since they fled Kenya, and Zia was still afraid. Back in Kenya, Daniel sat in a dark room, scrolling through his phone. He had been searching for clues, and finally, he found something. An old friend of Zia had posted a picture on social media. In the background, Daniel saw something familiar, a hotel in Kampala. His lips curled into a smile. "I found you, Zia." Without wasting time, he booked a flight to Uganda. As the plane took off, he whispered to himself, "If I can't have you, no one will." One evening, as Zoe and Samuel walked back to their apartment, Zia suddenly felt uneasy. It was the same feeling she had when she and her mother were running from Musa all those years ago. Samuel noticed her worried expression. "What's wrong?" Zia stopped and looked around. "I don't know. Just feel like someone is watching us." Samuel turned his head just in time to see a shadowy figure across the street. It was Daniel. "Run!" Samuel shouted, grabbing Zia's hand. Daniel started chasing them. "You can't run forever, Zia," he yelled. Zia and Samuel ran through the narrow streets, dodging people, pushing through crowds. But Daniel was fast, and he was catching up. Just when they thought they had lost him, Daniel appeared in front of them, blocking their path. "Did you really think you could escape me?" asked Daniel. Samuel stepped forward, shielding Zia. "Leave her alone, Daniel. This is over." Daniel pulled out a knife. "No, it's not over until I say it is," Zia, panting, said. "Daniel, please don't do this." But Daniel's mind was made up. If he couldn't have her, he would rather see her dead. Daniel took slow steps toward them, his knife glittering under the streetlights. "Daniel, please," Zia pleaded, with tears in her eyes. "You don't have to do this." But Daniel wasn't listening. His mind was filled with anger and betrayal. "You were supposed to be mine, Zia. I killed my own father for you. That was your choice." "Daniel," said Samuel. Daniel let out a bitter laugh. "And yet she still left me." He pointed the knife at Samuel. "And now, you will pay for taking her from me." Before Daniel could strike, Samuel struggling to point the knife to his face. Zia watched in horror as Daniel overpowered Samuel, pushing him to the ground. He raised the knife, ready to stab him. "No," Zia screamed. Without thinking, she grabbed a wooden wood lying nearby and hit him with all her strength. The stick hit Daniel's neck, making him drop the knife. Samuel took the chance to stab Daniel hard in the stomach, and he falls to the ground. Zia breathed heavily, tears streaming down her face. "It's over, Daniel." Daniel knew it was over. He looked up at Zia, his eyes filled with pain. "I loved you," he whispered. Zia wiped her tears. "Love isn't supposed to hurt." The sound of sirens filled the night air as the police arrived at the scene. A small crowd had already gathered, whispering among themselves as they watched the lifeless body of Daniel on the ground. Blood pooled around him, and Samuel stood nearby, his hands shaking, his face filled with fear. The police officers quickly moved in, their torches flashing across the dark street. They pointed at Samuel. "Drop the knife and put your hands up." Samuel looked at Zoe, who was crying and holding her hands over her mouth in horror. He had acted out of anger and desperation, but now reality was sinking in. He had killed a man, and there was no escape. Another officer approached cautiously, grabbing Samuel's arms and handicapping him as his lead to the police car. "You are under arrest for murder," the officer said. "You have the right to remain silent." Zoe watched, frozen in place. She couldn't believe what had happened. She never wanted things to end this way. She never wanted anyone to die. As Samuel was dragged toward the police car, he turned to look at her, his eyes filled with something between regret and anger. "This is because of you, Zoe," he stuttered before being pushed into the back seat. Tears streamed down Zoe's face as she watched the car drive away. Everything felt unreal, like a terrible nightmare she couldn't wake up from. After a week, Samuel appeared before the court for trial. Zoe and her mother were filled with guilt for dragging Samuel into their family affairs. Samuel sat in the courtroom staring at Zoe with anger, dressed in a dull brown prison uniform, his hands in cuffs. The room was filled with people, Daniel's family, Zoe and her mother, and several members of the community who had come to witness the trial. The judge entered, and everyone rose. As the trial began, the prosecutor stood and described the events of that night. The accused, Samuel, attacked and killed Daniel in a fit of rage. This was a crime of jealousy and revenge, and for this, he must face justice. Samuel's lawyer tried to defend him. "My client acted in self-defense. Daniel was threatening him first, but the evidence was too strong. Witnesses had seen Samuel holding the knife. The blood-stained weapon had his fingerprints, and Zoe, though heartbroken, had told the truth about what had happened." After hours of arguments and testimonies, the judge finally spoke. "The court finds Samuel guilty of murder," he announced. "The sentence is 7 years in prison." Samuel's face was blank, but inside, he was boiling with anger. 7 years in jail for a woman who betrayed him, for a love that meant nothing in the end? As he was led away, he turned to look at Zoe one last time. She held onto her mother's hand and cried. Years passed, and Zoe tried to move on with her life. She returned to her mother's home, trying to heal from the pain and loss. She found it hard to trust again, but time helped ease her wounds. After 4 years, she met a man named Kevin. He was kind and understanding, and most importantly, he loved her deeply. Unlike the past, there were no fights, no violence, just peace and happiness. In the 5th year after Samuel's imprisonment, Zoe and Kevin got married in a beautiful ceremony attended by close friends and family. Amina watched with pride, knowing her daughter had finally found happiness again. A year later, they were blessed with a baby boy, whom they named Baraka, after Zoe's father. Life was finally good. The past felt like a distant memory, and Zoe was determined never to look back. 7 years felt like a lifetime for Samuel, but the day of his release finally arrived. He stepped out of the prison gates, taking a deep breath of fresh air, but freedom didn't bring him peace. Instead, his heart was filled with anger and resentment. The first thing he did was return to his old home. Everything had changed, new faces, new buildings, but his pain remained the same. He went to Amina's house eager to see Zoe again, to find out if she had waited for him. Then he heard the news. Zoe was married, and not only that, she had a child with another man. Samuel's heart shattered. After everything I did for her? After I killed for her, he whispered to himself. I went to prison because of her, and she moved on. Married someone else? A dark rage took over him. He knew what he had to do. He had to make her pay. He had to make them all pay. Samuel began watching Zoe from a distance. He followed her when she went to the market, observed her with her husband and child. He saw how happy she was, and it made his blood boil. One evening, he approached her while she was walking alone. Zoe, he called out. She turned, and her face went pale. Samuel. Her voice was barely a whisper. Samuel stepped closer. I went to prison for you, Zoe, and when I come back, I find you married to another man? Zoe swallowed hard, fear creeping into her heart. Samuel, she stammered. You betrayed me. Samuel's voice rose in anger. I loved you. I killed for you. And you replaced me? Zoe took a step back. Samuel, please, the past is gone. I had to move on. Samuel's eyes darkened. No, Zoe, the past is not gone, and I will make sure you feel the same pain I felt. Zoe's heart pounded as she realized the danger she was in. Samuel was not the same man she once knew. He was filled with hatred, and she knew he would stop at nothing for revenge. She turned and ran. Samuel watched her disappear into the night, a cruel smile forming on his lips. This is not over, Zoe. Not yet. So Samuel decided he will kill all of them, Zoe, her mother, her husband, and her son, and the hunt begun. That's it for part 2 of this story. If you want to know how the story ends, check the final part 3. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe. See you in season finale.